saying that last Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode.
Yeah, here we go all day. Baby, it's Friday. Gonna do the shit my way. Hey, maybe we'll get high today on the devil's lettuce. Don't stress us, but I'm in Texas, and I only can get CBD, but you know what? It works good for me. Ooh, song change. I didn't expect this.
But girl, you just gotta go with the flow on a Friday. Yeah, I was late, but I was busy being an adult. Fuck being an adult, but also fuck being a kid, cause you really don't get to do shit with your life, but just think that it's all ignorance. Ignorance is bliss. Like when you gotta take a piss in a dream when you're a kid, and you just pee everywhere, and then you wake up, and you're like, fuck, I peed the bed. I really peed the bed. I was at a urinal in my head, but for some reason, when I started peeing, I was still in my bed. Now there's piss in my bed, but holy shit, I'm in college, and I'm not a little kid, and I just pissed my friend's bed, and it came out the flap, and now it's all over the bed sheet, and all over the bed. Now he has to tell his mom, and weirdly, I'm embarrassed, because I'm a grown kid. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Friday. Got a podcast on a Friday, cause I was so fucking busy this week. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to Friday. Is it payday for regular people? Probably not. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We're feeling good. It's Friday. That's a terrible song on Friday. Like your boy said, we were busy. Let's see if we had any more questions come through. We got a couple. I just posted this. Here's the funny thing. I posted about questions, comments, topics, current events, and I put it out about an hour before I record this. So I'm like, yeah, I'll get some. When I go to check it before the podcast, 5 minutes before I'm going to record, it still hasn't uploaded. You ever had that where you upload a story and then you close Instagram too fast because you're like, I don't feel like seeing no booty cheeks right now, I don't know what your algorithm's like, but mine's pretty telling, okay? And then it doesn't upload the story, so it kind of just pauses. Like it doesn't hit that. Sometimes you got to tell Instagram what to do. You have to watch it do the work. You kind of got to micromanage Instagram. And it didn't upload the story, so I said, fuck. Now I'm in a situation where the podcast has to start because I don't want to sit around waiting for people to give their shit. So then we only had 5 minutes. So we got a few questions. We'll start off with this one. Someone asked, how could you not have a podcast yesterday? You left us. Hey, Billy, you don't think I fucking know that? You don't think it fucking tore me up to do that to you? It's tearing up my heart when I leave you. And normally a week I give you 2. And no matter what you think, I'm doing 2 for you. Pound. Yeah. Ridiculous. If this is your first time on the podcast, you're like, what have I got myself into? The Holy Grail, baby. Welcome. You've just stumbled across a nugget. People tell me, like, wow, Evan, it's crazy your podcast doesn't have as much listeners as it should. And I'm like, hey, is that a fucking backhanded compliment? Because you're acknowledging that I don't have a lot of listeners. What's weird is I have a decent amount of listeners, but a lot of people don't watch it. And I understand it. I don't really watch podcasts. It takes a special guest for me to be like, I want the meat and potatoes on this, but I also want the facial gestures. I also want the facial gestures, little facial things doing fucking juggling and shit. It's a different experience. Sometimes you want to look at them. I appreciate everybody that wants to look at this mug. It's good sometimes. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you're like, Evan had a rough one. And that's okay. We all have rough ones. But to actually answer this question, just busy. A busy week. Busy little bee. Buzz, buzz, baby. Buzz, buzz. Okay? We have really dove into this Austin market. Everything's going good. Moving forward. Just keeping it moving, pimping. Here's something. I've retired from video games. Completely retired. I had to go cold turkey. Because you know what? In a past life, no. I have the personality to be addicted to things. I do. I really do. And I know it. Okay? And it's just what I choose are going to be my vices. I stay very disciplined because if not, I've said this quote a bajillion times on this podcast. But if you seek a life of liberty, no. Fuck. I fuck it up every time. Don't fuck this up, Evan. Welcome to the ASMR podcast. Maybe we should just get the quote so we know it. How you guys doing? Hopefully, just writing with one hand right now, looking this up. If you seek... Oh, okay, I kind of remember it. If you seek a life of freedom, you'll be a slave to your desires. But if you seek discipline, you will find liberty. I think that's what the quote was. If you seek a life of freedom, you will be a slave to your desire. This is a nice way to say it. Seek freedom, become a captive of your desires. Seek discipline and find liberty. I think it's great. Because it keeps you off of basic human shit that is manipulated by modern technology and the superficial side of our society. Bars, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, my brain had my coffee firing right now. Had a good walk with the wolf, firing up pistons. Terrible sound effect. But I listen to a lot of stand-up, and I watch a lot of stand-up, and I really take in what makes people succeed and what makes people not succeed. What are the vices that really... It's always the shit that you don't think about are the things that really stop you. I've always, especially working with fighters and anybody trying to do anything out of the ordinary that there's not a blueprint for, and all walks of life have their own challenges. But for a lot of careers, a lot of boring ones especially, there's a blueprint of how you get to a certain level of success. And I think success is measured in a lot of different ways. Is it monetarily? How much money you can make from it? Is that what you deem success? Here's the beautiful thing about life. We all can live whatever kind of life you want to live. And you don't have to do it by anybody else's standards. And usually we end up imprisoning ourselves with what we think we should do because of what other people think around us or what game they're playing. Someone's in a rat race. They're like, well, I'm in this rat race, so what makes you better? You got to be trapped in this too. You can't chase your own shit. Heard that shit my entire life. So some people measure what is success by how many people are you helping? What have you accomplished? How much art have you produced? How much content? Content is king, baby. If you're an artist, you're like, I've painted this. If you're a writer, you're like, I've written 4 books in my life, and what your measuring stick is based on who you are. I think one of the things is teachers are so underpaid. One of the most valuable jobs. You affect so many people. Coaches, it's so important to have good coaches in your life. And I mean coaches, like sport coaches that instill, that's what I love about, being a coach when I was younger.
is instilling confidence and instilling a work ethic. And literally, sports are just a vehicle for success in the rest of your life. Because it literally just shows you, hey, you work hard, you do this, you work smart, you apply this method that you learn from sports, and it goes with you, translates into real life. 100%. And it puts you in reality. You know, a real measuring stick is a sport. You know, something especially like jujitsu or fighting or anything like that. It's going to be a real measuring stick of your abilities. It's going to be humbling. But the point I'm making, I don't know why the fuck I got off on that tangent. I don't give a fuck. I don't have to explain myself to you, fuckface. Fucking Billy. Where were you yesterday? Go fuck yourself. I was where I had to be. I'm just kidding. I love you. But I would always, you know, it's something that I got lucky that I realized that in life, the most important things and the things that you have to be the most worried about and looking out for aren't stereotypical surface level pitfalls and the things that are going to hold you back. It's not going to be somebody who goes, yeah, well, I don't think you're good enough to do that. You know, it's never going to be so blatant where it's going to be like, yeah, well, you're a loser. You're never going to be successful in anything. You know what that does to a lot of people? I feel like most people's reaction is it fires them up. And you know, like, you know what? Fuck you. I am going to do it. I quit, bitch. You can fucking build all these bears yourself. I don't know why this person works at Build-A-Bear, but they do. Okay. But it's always like small things that constantly add up that like take away your chances of being successful. It's gonna be, yeah, I just want to have a piece of cake, you know, and then you start doing it every day. Or it's just the small things, you know, that seem like good things, and it's really just low-hanging fruit. Like, are you undervaluing yourself? Are you in a position where you're like, you know, no, I should just take this contract. Oh, I should just do this. This is going to be safe. This isn't my dream job, but it's kind of, I can do it for a while, and then I'll be able to do that. Oh, I can save money. I can do this, and then I can do it on the side. But then it's like, you're giving up the rocket fuel that you need to get to that next place. And that's something that you see a lot. And one of the things is, I feel like society has become a fucking cobbled road of things that can distract you from your goals. And that's what it all comes down to, is like distractions. Of it's like, oh, let me lay in bed and let me just start my day by scrolling through Instagram for a day, or for a full day. How fucking crazy would that be? For an hour, 2 hours. And it happens. This is what is nuts. I don't do that because I've literally taken the temptation completely away. I keep my phone on a shelf outside of the bedroom when I go to bed. So I have zero temptation to like look at my phone while I'm in bed and to just lay there when I get up. Like, my alarm goes off and I just go, all right, well, I don't got shit else to do. I'm going to stare at the ceiling for how long? And Beowulf, my dog, also, she knows when it's time to wake up. And she'll just sit there and be like, bitch, I need to walk now, you know? And I always think about that. There's a crazy thing with when you're on your phone as soon as you wake up, that it just completely drains your dopamine. Like, your brain is not set up to be able to handle social media directly in the morning. It's not supposed to even handle it at all. It's not normal. Our brains haven't caught up with technology enough to be like, oh yeah, I have to realize this isn't real life. Seeing 1,001 titty balls. Yeah, sometimes you only see half of them. 1,001 titty balls isn't healthy for my brain. Seeing 1,000 thoughts is not healthy for your brain on social media. You go on the fucking explore page, you go on TikTok, and I'm like, dude, how is my video where I'm talking about Whataburger and HEB getting taken down on TikTok, but these girls are able to dance around with their titty balls? I want equality. I'm not getting the same kind of views that these girls are getting with their titty balls on TikTok. Okay? It's not right. It's not okay. It's not fair. And it's an injustice to men everywhere. I don't really give two shits. Get your money, ladies. Get your money. But it blows my mind, like people who lay in bed for 2 hours. But here's the point. What I was saying. I quit video games cold turkey. Again, one of the pitfalls. I have the kind of personality where I can easily get addicted to something like that. If it's satisfying, if it has anything to do with problem solving, quests, if it's a measurable statistic, anything that I can like have progress on, I get addicted to it. Especially if it's a fighting game, if it's something like StarCraft, really old game. Used to be addicted to it. To the point when I was a kid, I remember being on an Easter egg hunt and I had been playing so much StarCraft that at one point I got like 5 Easter eggs and I go, oh, I should save my game because I'm doing really good. And then this is me as a kid thinking this. And then I go, holy shit, dude, you just tried to save a game in real life. And I remember being like, you might have a fucking problem. But did I stop playing games at that time? No. But it would start to consume me. And the same thing with Call of Duty. I allowed myself, because we were shutting down for like a year. I wasn't getting to do stand-up. I wasn't getting to hang out with people, do jujitsu, do all these things that satisfy all these problem-solving skills. And, it is what it is. Video games are great. They're fun. But for me right now, and I'm not knocking them, if you love playing video games and it helps you unwind and do your thing, have at it. We all got our shit. I enjoy a good bird watching. Does it help my life at all? No, but it's just relaxing. All right. See a fucking red cardinal, makes my willy tingle. You know that though. You've been around long enough. But then StarCraft came back in my life, and I started playing it again. And it just started to consume me to the point I was having dreams about it. I would just think about the units, different strategies, because I love a good strategy game. I'm obsessed with it. It's what got me obsessed with boxing and jiu-jitsu, was learning strategy and different counters. I love when there's a sneaky way to do something, optimizing efficiency, where you can hack it, where it's like, oh, I can do it this way and sneak around. I don't really like 1 or 2 layer things where it's like, you do this, you do that. Like if it's a surface level kind of job where it's like, I didn't really like construction that much. I did it for years. Most of my life I did construction. But it was a very direct thing where you had to do it a certain way, and there's like a standard. And sometimes during the job, there would be ways and opportunities to be creative where it's like, okay, we have to bust this concrete out, put it in this wheelbarrow, and somehow efficiently, we have to walk this, 3 blocks a certain way through mud and everything. And then you got to be creative and come up with ways to put like wood planks down to get through mud. Or, I remember one job doing a remodel, we had to get, they were doing an addition, something like 300 panels of drywall, very heavy stuff. And we had to take it from the street all the way to around the back, the side of the house, and all the way around to the other side of it. And we were like, okay, we carrying 1 piece at a time, 2 people, 1 piece. They were very heavy. I think they were 60 pounds. So we were like, we'll just do 1 piece and we'll go like that. And then I like created this crazy rig system where we were able to put like 6 pieces at a time and 2 people could just push it. Like I tied these things together and I loved it. I love doing shit like that. But for the most part, anything that's just super follow this instruction and there's not a clever way to figure it out, doesn't really entice me. But StarCraft, it was getting me, okay? And to the point where I was having dreams about it. I started Googling strategy, and then I'm like watching YouTube videos of these kids playing it. And then I'm just like, for my life right now, I'm losing all my rocket fuel on goddamn StarCraft. It's not doing a thing for my life. I'm just sitting here getting lost in it, spending maybe only like an hour and a half, 2 hours tops a day. And I was even playing every day. But I could see where it was going, to where I'm like, I reached the top tier of playing online, and then I'm like, it's either I commit to this and I become a world-class StarCraft player, or I get the fuck out. And I decided 2 weeks ago, I'm 2 weeks clean this Sunday, to just delete everything, all my accounts, cold turkey, okay? And since then, life has been great, because you know what? It's made me take a few actions that led to more actions, and things are going great, all right? I'm completely clean, but I might actually have a relapse this weekend, because a friend wanted to play one last game of Call of Duty before she deleted it. Shout out to Marley, aka Nervous Nelly on Twitch, prominent streamer taking over the globe. We're going to do one last ride, just like fucking Vin Diesel. So if I do a podcast next week and I'm just like justifying you why, like a girl who just talked all this shit about her boyfriend, and then she's like, yeah, but we're going to work it out. That's how I'm going to be with Call of Duty next week. That's the worst, when friends end up getting back with their toxic significant other. You can't say anything. That's one thing life has taught me. You can't say anything to people who are in toxic relationships. You can give them advice if they ask for it, 1 or 2 times. You can give your opinion if they ask for it. But other than that, you just got to stand back and watch the car crash happen, because it's going to be draining for you, and they're never going to listen. So you say your piece, they ask for advice, you give it to them, but after a while, you just got to stand back and watch, because there's nothing worse than having your friend just try to justify being with some crazy person. He's just like, yeah, bro, she was just going through a lot at that time, okay? It's just her aunt is into crystals and it was affecting her energies. She's an Aquarius moon, bro, okay? And things were just different during that time. And that moon has passed and we're now in a blood moon, okay? So she's fertile and I think we're going to go for it. I think nothing is going to fix this relationship like a baby, okay? That's the worst. When friends say they're pregnant and you're just like, we had a good run, partner. So long. Farewell. Enjoy your toxic relationship, but I won't be in it, and we can't be friends till this toxic shit just ends. Stupid. Speaking of toxic relationships, man, we really riffed way too long, okay? But I'm like a fucking Play-Doh. I'm like Rumpelstiltskin. I'll take a piece of hay and just fucking whittle that shit up, okay? Into some more shit. If you know me, you know I love Game of Thrones. I've seen the entire series twice, all the way through. And I've only seen the last season once because it pisses me the fuck off, okay? Game of Thrones is a masterpiece, and I think the greatest TV show of all time, bar none. Nothing's close to it. Nothing is close to Game of Thrones with the storytelling and the slow burn of character development throughout the series. It is amazing. The way that it was leading up to that final season was amazing. There's been no show that has been close. And listen, I'm watching The Wire right now, slowly. I've watched a lot of Sopranos. I need to finish it. But those 2 other shows have been the other ones that people have talked about being the greatest of all time. I've seen Breaking Bad multiple times, also another one of my favorites. Better Call Saul. Shout out to Danny Moncada, Lo Coco Por Vida. And I just think that Game of Thrones, what it did, what it accomplished, for so many different reasons, the story, the music, the cinematography, the character development, the mind fucks. I will go on record saying this, that the greatest TV mind fuck twist is Hodor. That moment, like, it was like, what, a 6-season burn of a setup for that moment? Dude, George R.R. Martin is a fucking genius, and he just planted landmines all along the way. He must have written almost the end of the book, and then came back and laid out the whole grounds for the story. Because that Hodor, when you realize what's happening, hold the door, and you're just like, I remember getting chills and standing up and just touching my head, just going, holy shit, this is happening right now. What a mind fuck moment. But I bring this all up to you because I was very hurt by that final season. They disrespected Game of Thrones and what it was so hard because they rushed through it. How are you going to rush through the greatest TV show of all time? The writing was completely different. And if you don't know, if you're not a Game of Thrones fan, George R.R. Martin, we'll just call him George Marty, he didn't write that last season. They got ahead of the books. And before that, even when they got ahead, they were using his input on the story. The last season, he wasn't involved as much. And the showrunners, they split episodes together, writing different episodes. And it feels like that. It almost felt like they were trying to tie up plots and storylines independently from each other, rather than what was beautiful about Game of Thrones is that it all meshed together like a fucking beautiful marinara. But they fucking shot that story in the dick in the last season. The fuck. Okay? And it never sat well. Like, they just, the way it ended, fucking Bronn ended up being the fucking king out of nowhere. He's just like, yeah, that was stupid. Didn't need to see Arya naked. That was weird. Okay, not okay with it. But it all tied up weird. Jon Snow just kind of fizzled out. Whatever. Killed Khaleesi. Stupid. But whatever. It just, I thought at the end the dragon was going to come find him, come down, and then it would at least painted the picture of like, oh, Jon Snow is going to return and he's going to be forced to be king. Like, you must accept who you are in life. You must fulfill your destiny, Jon Snow. Stupid. But the whole point I bring this up is there was a new Game of Thrones trailer released. It was a teaser, House of Dragons. And it's the backstory of the House of Dragons, Khaleesi's people, bunch of blonde folk, okay? Just Hitler's dream was the House of Dragons. And it looks cool and everything, and it's kind of a Game of Thrones story. And while I think, I watched it and I'm like, all right, yeah, this feels like Game of Thrones and everything, and I'm sure it's going to be decent. I'm sure it will be good. But what it kind of feels like to me is a father who abandoned his family, was a deadbeat dad, had another family, and is being a good dad to that family. That's what Game of Thrones having this, new show is to me. Because it's like, why the fuck are you starting a new family when you already had this one and you decided to fuck it up so bad? You became an alcoholic in the end and just started hitting everyone. And then he fucking moved across town, laid low for a while, and now I'm seeing you at fucking T-ball, helping this other kid with their swing. Okay? I'm your baby. I'm your son. Okay, Game of Thrones? And you just decided to fucking start over. You call him sport and everything. That's what Game of Thrones is doing with this House of Dragon. And I don't even know if I want to watch it, but I just can't get what happened out of my head. Okay? It's like you cheated on me and you're just like, things are going to be different. And then you're like cuddling with me and you're like doing new moves. And I'm like, you fucking learned this from him. You fucking whore. That's what I feel about Game of Thrones. I don't know. How do you guys feel about it? Is anybody actually gonna watch it? No? I wasn't really looking or listening for a reply. I was looking to see if we had more questions, which we do. We'll run through these quick because we're already at our time, baby. Did you watch Dave Chappelle's special? Yes, I did. I watched it yesterday. Dave Chappelle has transcended comedy. It's that simple. While I think Dave Chappelle is... I do think Dave Chappelle is... his older stuff is some of my favorite comedy. It really is. His sketch show is the best sketch show of all time. The premises, this is what Dave Chappelle is amazing at. His premises is to take something that it's just like picking brilliant premises and ideas, and it shows like that. Like that's what his superpower is because of how good the skits were. He took ideas and then just brought them to life. Just from, they were just so genius on paper and the idea of what they were. No matter how you played it out, it was going to be funny. Like the fucking skit where Tupac, like I could imagine the writing room for that and the idea of just being like, yo, Tupac writes a lot of songs and he's always kind of predicting something in the future. How funny would it be to be in a club after Tupac died and he's predicting things that are happening in the room? I wrote this song a long time ago. Dave, that's not your wife. Like just saying things like that. Hilarious. There's obviously so many classic Dave Chappelle skits. The Real World, Tyrone Biggums. Dude, genius. Half Baked was a phenomenal movie. Getting off topic. Dave Chappelle's special. I think over time, the progress, and I think this is completely fine. He's become an elder statesman. He's become one of the elders, a wisdom of our tribe. And our tribe is society. And this is something that's very important because I feel, I don't necessarily like comics or comedy that it has the message before the joke. It's fine when people want to make a statement with their comedy, but remember, it has to be funny. Your goal is to do comedy. And if you want to bring light to something through humor, do it. I don't give a shit what you do on stage, but don't go up there and just try to virtue signal and all these things. And you have to be someone like Dave Chappelle to be able to pull off what he's done. And it blows my mind, and this is how stupid mainstream media and this bullshit, and it's honestly a small percentage of people that even look at this or even go this far. It's such a fringe thought process. But Dave Chappelle's special, I thought it was funny. I thought it was, hilarious. I love his timing. I love his confidence, his delivery, the pauses, everything about that. I thought all the premises were funny. You don't have to agree with everything he says, but he's saying very important stuff. It's what is also awesome about the world we live in right now is we have people who are standing up for the right things and at least acknowledging that some shit is weird. Some people that I listen to a lot, David Goggins, Jocko Willink, Dave Chappelle, Jordan Peterson, Mr. Joe Rogan, who's linked to all those people. I like to look at people who are at least standing up to what mainstream ideas are and not doing it in a, Ben Shapiro way and really aggressive and attacking, but more of allowing conversations. I really like the idea of being able to disagree with people and to still be friends. Be able to talk about ideas and understand that ideas can always be wrong, that beliefs can be wrong. That's all they are. Most of what we have is our own experience that has formed our own idea of what reality is, but it's not necessarily a fact. We can't debate certain things. You pick a fucking fruit off of an orange tree and you're just like, oh, this is an orange. It's not up for debate. That's what it is. But there's a lot of ideas about society and what things mean, that so much interpretation. I think it's important to at least have an idea that this is malleable, that there has to be some give and take on ideas. And it's funny because there's a lot of people already upset with Dave Chappelle and saying, for even talking about certain issues, because, you know, he was attacked for what people thought was an attack on the LGBTQ plus community. And he spent a lot of this special talking about that. And literally, he said nothing wrong with that community. He made 0 attacks. But what he actually did was, at the end, he brought everything into, you know, I don't want to give away a special if you haven't seen it, but this individual named Daphne. And he brought in that it was a human experience, and that what Daphne wanted, who was a transgender comedian, just wanted the acknowledgement that I am having a human experience. And Dave Chappelle talked a lot about empathy, and that if we're all going to coexist, we have to have empathy, that we're all from different walks of life, but that we're all having human experiences. I think the worst thing you can do to someone is to write off their experience, is to tell them that their life and what they've been through isn't a big deal. Get over it. It's nothing. I feel like that's just such a terrible thing that you can do to someone. Is to, you know, on both sides of the fence, it doesn't have to be politically, is to just say, oh, you're being silly. All these, you know, when people talk about younger people and the job market and everything, you realize that job prices haven't really increased, but the housing market and inflation hasn't really gone up at all. Not nearly enough. It's not even. And then you start, oh, these kids don't want to work and blah, blah, blah. And they're just all blah, blah, blah. All their avocado toast. And it's like, dude, acknowledge that things are different for them. Have empathy and understand. And the same thing with the older generation. That's a huge thing that I believe in, is like, people grew up so different. And that was the big takeaway I took from Dave Chappelle's special, was empathy. And understanding that so many different communities are different. And that's why I think Dave Chappelle is amazing, because he really has transcended comedy, and he's almost becoming a philosopher, and he's doing it through humor. His stand-up does have a message. It is silly. It is fun. Very well-crafted punchlines and jokes and delivery. It's all there, but it's even more. And not many comedians can pull that off. A lot of comedians, they try to virtue signal, or they try to have a message with their stand-up. They can't pull it off because they're not Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle can, because he invests so much time into this style of thinking, of these ideas. You can see it through his stand-up that he's so observational, you know? And I thought it was amazing. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this episode. Yeah, we'll chill out with this. Longer episode, came out a little later. I want to thank everybody who listens to the podcast. Always remember that I love you. I miss you. Upwards and onward. Have a great weekend. And get fucking funky on Friday, baby. And remember, no matter what, I still love you. Yeah.